Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today is September 4th, and we were discussing the Olympics right before we started because there's not much to say this week. This is a very short section.
Everybody complains. Well, that's not true. Some people
No,
complain about too long.
And the algorithm has appreciated us doing shorter episodes recently. For what that's worth, because YouTube's desperately trying to compete with TikTok.
Shorter, but also deeper discussion.
It really, really hurts me, though,
To
give
less,
in
yeah.
to the algorithm.
Yeah, well, and the algorithm is so changeful.
I thought you were saying, it really hurts me to talk to you people. I was like, okay, that's fair enough.
Wow.
But I'm sure that doesn't hurt me as much as Mr. Andy Jassy and by proxy, Mr. Jeff Bezos is hurt by this one. I have a feeling that maybe his favorite coffee mug is shattered on the floor of his corner office after this.
The Ars Technica headline is, Labor Board confirms Amazon drivers are employees in a study hailed by the union. And the internal Amazon executive headline of the same story was, Amazon is accelerating their driverless truck program.
So if you don't know, if you've been hiding under a rock, and since we got time to kill, the Amazon trucks that are delivering your packages are often third parties, almost always, right?
Yeah.
And when people say like, hey, Amazon, it's not right that those guys have to pee in those bottles. And you know how like they're not even allowed to stop to call 911 if the house is on fire? That's wrong. Amazon's response is always, those aren't our employees.
They're driving a
Not our
truck
problem.
that's labeled Amazon with an Amazon vest and an Amazon uniform, but those aren't Amazon employees.
Not one of ours. We don't make those policies.
So the Labor Board has said, don't think that's true.
So hard to say exactly what the repercussions will be here, right? I don't think it's set in stone yet.
They'll probably fire all those people after enough time has passed
But
that
how
they won't
can
get the
they?
press.
How can they do it?
I was thinking about this episode and how it's going to be a little shorter. Here is, I think, what is the trend that we're seeing, not just in Amazon, but everywhere, as the the economic, as like macroeconomically, the economics really aren't that bad. But if you're an individual and you're looking at how far your weekly grocery budget goes, it's not fabulous. And so what is happening to Amazon is, if you look at the margins that Kroger, I know Kroger was in the news this week, which is kind of funny, but if you look at the margins that Kroger and Walmart and other stores have, it's very small compared to, say, Amazon. I mean, it's still billions and billions and billions of dollars, and Kroger is in trouble maybe for squeezing. That's Kroger looking at Amazon's margins and saying, we want some of that, but it is also, price gouging. But I think there's going to be more of an adjustment, a bad kind of adjustment, if you're on Wall Street, for Amazon than for Kroger. I think Amazon is going to have to move toward margins that are more like Walmart and Kroger, than Kroger being able to successfully move to margins more like Amazon.
So I think the opposite. I think the crunch, because I didn't, it's not a tech story, I didn't put in here. Big Lots is thinking about bankruptcy.
Dollar store?
Dollar General, yeah.
What that is going to do is it's going to push everybody into the arms of Amazon. Because what choice do we have?
Yeah.
Man, losing the Dollar General would be heartbreaking for my community because there's literally nothing else. There's a gas station.
Well, there's Amazon.
Well, the Amazon end game, if they maintain or increase their margins, is the products that Amazon sell are made out of cardboard and paper. It'll be like Temu, like you're just buying garbage.
I feel like Amazons are kind of already there, to be honest. I don't buy stuff off Amazon a whole lot anymore.
Well, even the food, it's like, I would like this food. It's going to be ultra-processed food, foreshadowing.
I mean, the vast majority of Dollar General's goods is Chinese-made stuff, other than the food.
Yeah, but the beauty of Dollar General is that I can drive to it. Like, if I need milk in the middle of the night and the gas station is closed, I can go to Dollar General.
Dollar General's not open all night.
We've bought...
No, they're open pretty late.
We've bought, just to have in our stock room, we've bought the Amazon brand extension cords, like the 8-foot appliance cords, and power strips and crap like that. And Dollar General's power strips are actually higher quality than Amazon Basics, which is shocking.
Is it Clover? Was it Clover?
Clover Valley.
Clover Valley, yeah.
I think that's just food, though, right?
Do you think that maybe you eat those too?
I don't know why you would need to make the power cables in the Clover Valley.
I'm not even sure the Amazon Basics cables are UL listed. Like, those are supposed to be little holographic stickers when it's on a slightly sketchy device. It's not. On the Amazon power strips, a lot of the time, it's just a black and white sticker.
But in the collapse of companies that are in the tech business, we do have a couple of those as well.
Apple is laying off employees working on books and news. Why? Because there's no margin there. Apple knows where the margin is.
But I would think there would be an opportunity with books where you could sell that as a subscription service if you made it valuable enough.
But that's not what they want. I don't think this was losing money.
It's just not profitable
Just
enough.
not making
Yeah.
money fast enough.
I was all in on Audible until I realized that all the stuff that I actually was buying on Audible, I don't actually get a keep.
Right. But I mean,
Well-
that doesn't stop people from doing, Spotify or anything like that.
But remember Redbox.
Mm-hmm.
You will literally lose it all eventually. I mean, Audible's not going to last
That's
forever.
heavy, man.
Yeah.
It might outlast us, but it won't last forever.
And yet, all of the MP3s that I've had since before I was a teenager, I still have, and they're fine, and they still play, and they're fine.
See, I didn't understand the importance of bitrate
Well,
at that time.
it is possible to get higher bitrate stuff now.
Yeah.
As with Star Trek, it is possible to get higher quality Star Trek. Although, my AI upsampled Knight Rider, I can see the blasting caps on the hood. It really takes something out of it for me.
I saw, I think I was going to do a story about it, but I couldn't find like a good summary. But they showed like the AI upscaling for the Aliens re-release. And there were like extra fingers and like just weird stuff. And it was like, this was re-released like professionally. Like no one looked at this. Like,
There seems to be a lot of that with AI, right? Just
Yeah.
run it through and ship it, and who cares?
and someone will buy it. And people
My
did.
AI is doing a better job than the studios.
And not only are we losing all of our shopping destinations and our community and everything, but the dead internet. That is turning out to be a very real thing. And what was left of websites that you could actually visit other than, social media, not going to exist for long.
AnandTech is shutting down. This is very sad. I like AnandTech a lot.
We've sourced them a lot over the years.
That's because they have people
Yeah.
that know what they're doing, or had. I'm honestly surprised an ad agency hasn't bought them as a vehicle to, because that's what ad agencies are doing now.
Just let it die.
No,
Yeah.
that's probably
Don't wish
what's
that.
going to happen.
Don't
yeah.
wish that.
Well, and it said that I think their forums were being taken over by someone.
Well, but they
They
said
already
they
were
were
future publishing, yeah.
they were just going to leave it up though, so it'd be searchable.
Yeah.
But how long are they going to eat that cost?
Not long.
Not long.
When those ad revenues start to go into the bread, they're going to be like, "Oh, we don't need this anymore."
Or they're shopping it around. The MO, like the large, like the Fortune 100 of ad agencies. The thing they're doing now is just surreptitiously acquiring properties and then buying ads on those properties, so that because they're feeling the squeeze too.
I forgot to go back and read this one.
Tencent, NetEase, Rethink Japan, and Rethink Japan approach as game strategy stalls. So
Is this one crossed out?
no, this was one I added.
Oh, okay.
So Wukong is very successful, highest number of concurrent players on Steam, but they're shutting down. There was another game that launched in Japan, and as soon as it launched, they laid off basically everybody in the studio.
Wow. Thanks for making this successful game for us. Goodbye.
No, not Wukong, but it was a different
Oh,
game that wasn't
different.
as successful. They were like, oh, we've got a game that's successful. We don't need this. Get out.
It's interesting how Tencent obviously gets special treatment, but China has such stringent rules about gaming.
Yeah.
So I guess they're just chasing foreign markets at this point, right?
Yeah.
Well, I saw there was a story about Wukong that was like, when they released it to streamers, they said in the email, like, don't talk about politics, don't talk about women's rights. Like, that was literally like how it was worded in the email. And it was like,
Well, those are sensitive topics.
Also said no violence. And it's like, isn't the game violent? Yeah.
Well, things might be getting violent in the Intel boardroom because they are not doing well, and a lot of people who are in charge of that are very upset about it.
The Reuters headline is Intel board member quits after differences over chipmaker's revival plan. And this is one of the dudes that had direct experience with manufacturing and some of the other things. In the Bloomberg version of this article, they also talked about how maybe there were rumors of Intel selling off their fabs.
Because they are getting crushed by TSMC and everything else, and their own mistakes in the past.
Well, if you
Past Intel.
if you look at, like the actual CPU is not as important as like an AI product, and like even AMD has a reasonable AI product, and Nvidia is just crushing the both of them with their, GPU that became the AI product, and so Intel has Gaudi 2 and Gaudi 3 for their AI stuff, but they don't have any enormous customer wins other than IBM, which is going to come online next year. But really, Intel is going to have to pull out a bunch of execution wins. But even if they pull out all the execution wins for the x86 core, most of the compute that's happening in the world right now is not happening on an x86 core. And that's the root problem.
Now, when we talk about Dollar General, Big Lots failing, that's because the consumer just has nothing left. They've been wrung dry. But here we see a tale of two consumers, right? There are the people who can't afford to feed themselves with the ultra-processed garbage on the dollar store shelves. There are people who might want this.
iFixit, the Samsung Galaxy Ring is $400 of disposable tech. Can't replace the battery, can't service anything that might malfunction in the future. So this thing is going to work for a year or two, and then it's basically unsalvageable.
They had a picture in the article of them, like, they're like, we took it apart, and then it just broke. And I was like, well.
Yeah.
400 cycles, that's one charge per dollar. And after that, throw it away.
So what we need is a subscribe and save plan for sensor data that uploads to the cloud. Fabulous. And people wonder why it's like consumers aren't buying any of this crap.
And to go back to your point about not actually owning anything or not being able to control the things that you do buy and own, it's not just Redbox and Audible and Netflix. The hardware these days is following, like your car even. Why? Why do we tolerate this?
Ars Technica has the headline, Amazon is breaking the primary feature of a $160 Echo device after a year. Now look at the picture, and I want you to imagine like the computers in Star Trek. Yeah, I could project into your brain, but they had little screens that were sitting on the desk, and so you would have pictures and stuff on that. And that's what Amazon promised. They said you can put your family photos on this, and then you can also use it as a two-way communications device. It'll be like Star Trek, basically. And now Amazon says, you know what? We're not going to show your family photos. We're going to show ads.
Well, they'll show it for like 3 minutes, and then it goes to ads.
But you left out an important part. Because in order to not show you ads, you had to pay a subscription fee. It was $2. Was it $2?
Yeah.
$2 a month to look at pictures of your family instead of ads.
On a device you own.
And now they're saying, sorry.
You're just going to see ads.
What? Oh, you don't want to charge me the subscription anymore? Can I just keep the pictures that I have? No. No, absolutely not. You will see ads after 3 minutes.
Which again is like, if you're charging an ad agency more than $2 a month to show those ads, that ad agency is not getting value for money.
I have
No,
a
it
little
is.
digital picture frame, and that, like, nothing would make me more furious than looking over and seeing an ad. Mine, I just plug a little USB into it, and like it's not connected to the internet. Just shows my pictures off a USB.
Unacceptable. Can't have that anymore. That could be used for terrorism. And here's an interesting one because I spent the last month on a lot of phone calls, and boy, did I hate it. So I guess I'm not. Am I a millennial?
I think you're right on the edge. You and Wendell are both right on the
But
edge.
I'm with them on this.
I technically am. While Gen Z and millennials have hung up on answering the phone. That's because every time I answer the phone, it's garbage. It's a waste of my time.
They kind of downplay that in this article.
Yeah,
they do,
really
yeah.
do.
And I was like, we just did a story in the last episode about how like half the time you look up a phone number, it's not even right. It's just going to be a scam. Like
Every time I interact with Amazon, it's a waste of my time. Every time I deal with some subpar product, it's a waste of my time.
Yeah,
How I can't figure out why everybody's frustrated with everything.
they
why
attribute
have they
it.
stopped using my product?
They attribute it to just the generational divide, but no, it's because we're constantly bombarded with people trying to rob us on our phones.
Yeah.
Would you answer your door anymore if every time you opened it there was a guy with a gun?
Yeah. No. Well, they mentioned too, they're like, people don't like to call each other at work. And it's like, yeah, because I have email and Teams and like 1,000 other ways to communicate with someone where there's a paper trail.
Yeah, and
Like-
it's already too much of that too.
Yeah.
We need less of that. And here is another one that, I think this was written by Captain Obvious. And I think the car companies are slowly and bitterly coming to this realization.
The Ars Technica headline is a lot of new in-car tech is quote-unquote not necessary, a survey has found. Yes. You know what would be amazing? Take out some of the technology and then reduce the price of the vehicle by $20,000 or more.
I love the idea that there was probably some product designer 5 years ago who was working on these cars and he rose his hand during the meeting and was like, I don't think this is going to be a good value proposition for our customers. I don't think we should do this. And that guy was probably immediately fired, and now
See, that's why
after thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars were spent.
that's why we need to do the public fund. If you can prove that you were the guy that raised your hand, you get it. It's like the Pulitzer Prize.
I tried to stop this stupid thing from going through, but no one listened to me.
There are people like that inside Amazon with like the Amazon product search, which has gone from actually useful to just garbage, that we're raising and it's like, nah, our analytics show that people don't mind. And it's not that people don't mind. There's a tally that's going to come due someday. But it's literally an adversarial relationship you have with everything.
So they broke this down by feature in some cases, and it's so obvious everybody hates lane assist because it doesn't work correctly. It's annoying. It takes control away
I
from
am one
you.
of those people.
Yeah. Self-parking, no one cares about self-parking because who trusts it? It's awful. Things like detection of the sides when you're turning and stuff, or when you're changing lanes, kind of useful, but also probably pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Whereas
It literally-
self-parking,
I've seen some that just like light up on the side on the
Yeah.
mirror. Like I'm like that's an all right little safety feature.
what do you think a self-parking car adds to the sticker price? 10 grand?
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Well, those sticker prices need to come down, but it's difficult for the car makers because, it's a slow process. You got to design it, you got to set up the manufacturing, and boy, did they make the wrong choices. But they're trying to change horses midstream.
Well, Ford believes its $1.9 billion shift in EV strategy is the right choice for the company and investors. And I was reading this and hoping that the shift would be, hey, we can make smaller vehicles that are less complicated. And the answer was not that.
Well, they are going to do hybrid vehicles instead of full electric because apparently no one wants the full electric, although they might want them if they were those little tiny Chinese ones, huh? I'm not interested in any of it. And I'm not interested in this because this is horrible and terrifying and it's moving very quickly. Remember when we started talking about this? Like maybe it was early this year.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, we're nowhere close to having anything functional for the public.
There's no like ethical concerns either. They're just like we're just ready to start selling it.
Well, I think you have to be an academic, but how hard are they going to vet that? If you got $500 a month,
Do you have a .edu address? Fantastic.
you got $500 a month, we've got brains for sale.
Human brain organoid bioprocessors now available to rent for $500 per month.
Speed running to the Matrix.
Some billionaire somewhere is working on scanning their brain to upload into one of these. I guarantee it.
How disappointing would it be if you did that and you uploaded your brain and they're like, oh, there's so much storage left.
Wow, this person's a moron.
So they do have an API. So there is, it's not just brain power. It's in Python. There is hardware hooked up to it, but it's interesting.
I have a feeling we're going to be doing a story at some point in the future that is, it turns out that the organoid bioprocessors were just simulations running on NVIDIA GPUs somewhere. It's like,
This is an interesting headline. Did you suss out what the real story was here? I wonder if this was changed after the fact.
Klarna continues profitable start to its 2024 as it mulls a United States IPO. So they make random crap?
No, they so it's like a pay later. It's basically
Oh, right,
layaway,
yeah, the
but
pay
for the
later
web,
thing,
yeah.
They use AI to figure out who's actually going to pay it back.
I'm trying to find the damning paragraph. But the way that they became profitable was to fire a bunch of people and use AI instead. That was the real headline. Klarna got rid of their employees, used AI, and it's working great.
They're using AI to pick people that are allowed to buy now and pay later as well.
Which is, ugh. The whole idea behind this, I think, is
Here it is.
kind of scary.
This should be the headline.
The company made heavy cuts across the workforce after a grueling 2022, but has since worked to fill those gaps by deploying AI tools, particularly in its customer service division.
So we got rid of the people, hired the robots, and saved money.
Don't forget, though, that Apple and Goldman Sachs were not able to figure this out, and they took huge write-downs trying to do buy now, pay later for Apple devices because they didn't really vet the customers.
Are we living, like in a year or two, are we going to have a story similar to the rent fixing one where it was like Klarna responsible for people not being able to buy stuff on the internet.
With the AI tool to pick your customers, it will absolutely be irresistible to these companies to start doing price customization based on your history as a consumer. It's like, oh, you can afford more, and I think you will buy this, and so the pricing would. It's like, I would like to buy this thing, and it's like, well, you're not going to be able to buy it from anywhere convenient because the AI tools are being used by everybody.
Also, have you seen on Reddit now? There's a new thing where you get banned because of other subreddits that you're subscribed to.
Interesting.
Oh.
That is going to be the central bank digital currency end game, right? Hey, I see that you're trying to order whatever, but in the past you've posted on social media about this. We're not comfortable at Klarna to do business with your kind.
Ugh.
And in that dark future, will Windows still exist? Will it just be one big advertisement at that point? No one knows.
It's not even an operating system anymore. Just you turn on your computer and ads just flash on the screen.
They want to change it, but some people are just not going to let them.
The Ars Technica headline is Microsoft backtracks on deprecating the 39-year-old Windows control panel. It is basically already deprecated, but there was a rumor that maybe they were going to take it out of a future version of Windows. It was such a nothing burger of news this week. Somebody published a rumor that was made up from a half-remembered dream, and then Microsoft had to respond to that, and then we have this.
What is the source? It came to me in a dream.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And it's just because, but you could have made the same supposition about every version of Windows since 10 because Microsoft has been trying to reimagine the control panel. The problem is that they don't fully re-implement the control panel in something else, and so it's just, there's UI dialogues that haven't changed since Windows 95.
Well, there's another thing that hasn't changed since Windows 95 or perhaps the dawn of this country, and that is the U.S. military engaging in propaganda everywhere, including on our soil, but especially in the Middle East.
TechCrunch noticed the U.S. military's latest psyop. They're advertising on Tinder.
Hot F-16s in your area.
That's not what that says, Krista. It says
you don't know that.
You should think twice about causing trouble for the U.S. and its allies. And it's like, oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's basically saying, I see that you're a young person, a military-aged person. Guess what's going to happen to you? This jet right here. Do you realize that we can kill you from over here? And did we do the Zuckerberg story last week? We did, right?
We did.
About his letter. Well, he has done some interviews about that and fleshed it out a little bit more.
The headline, which I'm going to have to, you're just going to have to check the links. Zuckerberg says that he regrets not being more outspoken about government pressure on the thing that we still can't talk about because no one's bothered to update the algorithm.
Oh, that's on purpose. You never give it back. Once you take a freedom, you never give it back. That's the rule. But he says he regrets it, and he wishes.
Can robots feel regret?
I don't think this one does in particular. I think he's worried, right? That
he's going to get in trouble. Yeah.
Well, not just to get in trouble, but like the mood of the people is turning against him badly.
It's also true that there's an aspect of this that is, I would like to have, reasonable, informed discussion about X. And that somehow amplifies the crazy people who say things like, there are people living on the other side of the moon that wish to do us harm. And it's like,
that's just fact.
Okay. And so those people are then amplified by the people that are trying to squelch the reasonable people to say that everyone has to be squelched. And it's like, no, there are reasonable people that are saying things not related to the moon people.
But people talking about moon people, that was a bad sentence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is not unique to our timeline.
No.
Right? That is the history of humanity. You've always had to discriminate.
Yeah.
You've always had to figure out the truth. You got to separate the game from the truth. And our leadership feels that we cannot do that. And maybe they're right. I mean, people struggle.
Our leadership has undermined our ability to do that because they have taken away exposure to that.
Counterpoint. I do see a lot of my neighbors liking like AI posts on Facebook. So it's like, I don't know.
You got to let them.
Yeah.
You got to let them. I mean, aren't you in the wrong for being on Facebook?
That's true, but I do love Marketplace. There's a really bizarre little bear. Someone did like a chainsaw carving, but like it's kind of messed up. and I want it so bad. It's a little bear holding up a fish, but he's kind of, like I said, he's messed up looking.
Listen, I understand it. I have that same relationship with sugar. But I understand that I'm in the wrong.
That's true. Yeah, it's wrong for me to have Facebook, but the deals I get on Marketplace.
I've had family members show me a picture of like a living room that was similar to their house, and they're like, I found this picture on the internet. I want to make my living room like this. You know anybody that?
Yeah.
And you look at it, and it's like the walls don't come together right in the corners, and you're like, this is AI generated. You point it out, they're like, oh, this is, where can I buy this? And it's like, you literally can't buy that because it can't exist in 3-dimensional space.
That's
a problem.
A big problem with interior design right now. I've seen a lot of people saying their clients come to them and be like, I want this. And it's like, I can't. Like,
that literally cannot exist in
or
our
architects
universe.
saying the same thing.
Well, it's been a while since we've had a big newsworthy TikTok challenge. At least that I've seen. I don't know if you guys have seen any. But
I hadn't seen this one. I had to look it up.
the echoes of, I think we talked about this one, the echoes of previous challenges are still there because some of them were such bad ideas. And the question is, who's at fault?
TikTok must face a lawsuit for recommending the viral blackout challenge. So Section 230, it's like the algorithm recommended this. Blackout challenge. You're blacking out due to the lack of oxygen. Some children died.
See, that's why I asked that about the Telegram thing. Because does Telegram curate? Is it possible that Telegram showed people any of that content they were complaining about when they didn't want it?
I mean, the ground truth of it is that the algorithm's boosting of this kind of stuff is a reflection of the people's own participation in idiocy.
Yeah, it's because they like it.
Yeah.
They like watching it. Yeah.
And so this is a reflection of ourselves. And if we don't like it, you need to not shoot the messenger.
Which is interesting because what our government is telling us is that most of us are too stupid to think for ourselves and figure this out. But it's a democracy.
Not for long with that attitude.
I was thinking about some of the others. So blackout challenge, you just pass out, which doesn't even sound like fun. But there was
You
like
choke yourself, right?
yeah, it's like, why would I do that? But then there's also like do you remember the lip kit thing where you like put a glass over your lips? There was that one.
Tide Pod.
Tide Pod
The
challenge.
milk crate.
What was the milk crate?
You build a giant pyramid of milk crates and try to get up it without falling off.
Oh, I don't remember
Which
that one.
can result in serious injury.
I remember the
It's a very
cinnamon challenge. Cinnamon challenge was popular, I think, before social was huge.
Yeah, that's old school.
Yeah.
The boiling water challenge.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. A lot of people got injured from that.
Yeah, not a lot of. I can't. Can you think of a challenge that was like good and wholesome? I guess they had the ice water challenge, but
The
that was
ice-
pre-TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just you just poured ice water and then tagged someone else, and then you had to make a donation to a charity, I think.
You didn't have to.
Yeah, you didn't. You could just lie. Yeah, I think
Or
a lot
you
of
could
people
just
did
say, "I'm not participating in your stupid game."
A lot of people should donate to charity.
without dumping water on themselves.
Yeah. Seems like that would be easier. It's like, all right, how about I just give you money? All right.
Those same people who can't afford Dollar General.
Clover Valley.
It is a worrying timeline that we're on
Yeah.
in some regards.
But we did manage to squeeze 28 minutes out of that tiny, tiny little bit of stories.
Yeah. Tell
Look
us your
at us.
favorite Clover Valley product.
I guess everybody's enjoying their summer. Congratulations.
I'm not.
Well, me either. Fun times.
See you guys in the next one. Hopefully a better fall to be had.